TIFU. I'm a terrible parent. Today I gave my 4-year-old his first existential crisis. I did one of those age progression apps that aged me to age 70. And I showed it to my son, not even thinking about the consequences of my actions. For a little backstory, we just moved in with my best friend who recently lost her grandma to old age. It was my son's first exposure to death, and he is very matter-of-fact about it. When my friend or her boys talk about her, he will sometimes chime in with gems like, "Yeah, but she's dead." So, he has asked all of the normal questions about death that 4-year-olds have. And I think he basically understands it. His response to this pic was not what I was expecting. He completely broke down, and for almost an hour he just cried and wailed. "I don't want you to get old and die, mama. Please don't get old and die, mama." He repeated it over and over, as if him saying it would somehow will me into existence forever. Nothing I could do or say could comfort him. He did this until he passed out. It was bedtime. I think for the first time he realized that I would die. And what that actually means. Did I traumatize my baby? I feel so stupid for showing him that picture. I should have known. TLDR. I showed my son an age-progressed picture and he proceeded to have a complete emotional breakdown. I distinctly remember going through a phase as a young kid, realizing that one day everyone I know was going to be dead. I didn't eat very well for like a week. Not sure what snapped me out of it. Probably conversations about how all of this was a long way off and I wouldn't need to worry about it until I was older than my parents were then. He's been alive 4 years. So that's one lifetime to him right now. Have him count by 4s. Obviously with a lot of help. On his fingers how many of his lifetimes that is. Once he gets to his toes he should realize it's a long way to go. Add that to stories of people being active in their 90s and even older. Especially if they talk about things they grew up with when they were young. Show how much changed in AALLL that time. Also don't let him get into geology, where a million years is gone in a blink. My folks are about 70. And yeah, please don't get old and die, is sometimes my internal monologue. Perfectly reasonable thing to have an emotional breakdown about. He'll get distracted by something silly and fun. He's 4. But I think letting him process and be sad is fine. My dad was great for this. "Oh, sure, the sun will devour the earth one day. But you don't have to worry because we'll all be dead before then. I'll be dead. Your mother will be dead. Your pet will be dead. It's normal." Turns on A&E Nostradamus Apocalypse Prophecy Show. Not bad parenting. This reaction is normal. I was coincidentally talking to my mom recently and asked her when I first learned about death. She mentioned that she explained to me that one day I would have to learn to take care of myself. Because my parents wouldn't be there one day. And I pretty much had the same reaction as your kid. The wild part is I had completely forgotten about this until she mentioned it. https preview.red.it/h2rag86axgwa1.jpg Width equals 1080 and format equals PJPG and auto equals WebP&V equals enabled and S equals C39A2A7CB31A12817 D584E66FB0F636451B2B01E. The pic in question. After reading this, I'm gonna buy my mommy some dinner. Child. This is the worst moment of my life. Parent. You mean it's the worst moment of your life so far? Bottom line. The occasional existential crisis is good for the 4-year-old soul. Well, that sucks, but it made me giggle a little. I'm already going to hell, so don't worry. It's not that bad. I think teaching him about the circle of life is not that bad. He will recover. I had a similar experience with my daughter. I had to tell about the cycle of life, death. I basically told her that when I'll die, she'll be old too, most likely with a family and loving people around her to help her go through that. And even if it's sad, she'll be able to enjoy life with those who'll still be there. When I went trough this, my parents assured me that I was still young and that it would be a long time before any of us would die, and that helped me a little bit, but I just had to wrap my head around it eventually. As much as this sucks, it is something everybody needs to deal with on some level eventually, and all you can really do is comfort and validate the feelings of fear. I dare not give advice on how to manage or school them further on this because I'm not a parent, so I just wish you well. Don't worry, you will scar them in many others ways too. I once turned up to work after school care, where one of the 5-year-olds was bawling her eyes out because she did not want to live to 100 after one her friends told her she was going to live to 100. Like absolutely in hysterics for 30 minutes. Sometimes kids are just kids and not as mature as we may think they are for their age. Just keep that in perspective, as well as the other good advice in this thread. For what it's worth, my mother did a similar thing to that. She told me about the Queen and royal family. That if the Queen commanded you to join an army and fight, you had to do it. I had a meltdown for the rest of the day in tears over the thought a stranger could do that to me. By the next, I completely forgot about the entire thing. It's like the movie Inside Out and your kid just got his first blue sphere. I was 4 when I had my first existential crisis too. For me, it was the land before time. I think all children have this realization, and it's extremely frightening. I remember crying myself to sleep because we're all gonna die, and what's the point of anything? Even at a very young age. But my sister never seemed fazed by it. I still struggle with the concept today as an adult, tbh. Don't worry. Sugar plum, everyone dies. One day the sun will expand, consuming the entire planet. Night night, sweet dreams. Life has hard, bad, sad parts to it. And a small child is going to learn about and experience those as they grow up. It's part of the process for every human. Doesn't make you a terrible parent to be there for that, quite the opposite. You're there to help them learn how to cope with those things. Teaching a child how to cope with sadness, pain, even boredom are the best things you can do for them. I was 6 when my mom decided to do something nice for herself. So she shows up one night with a perm. 1983-ish, as was the style at the time. Who was this stranger? Where was my mom? Who was this imposter? I think I cried for an hour straight. My mother was gone forever. Now there was this stranger in mom's place. Nothing would ever be the same. Lol. But by hour 2, I was completely over it. It was mom and I loved her and she loved me. Even with the funny haircut. Young kids just get weirded out by change. But we get over it easy enough. We talked about death a few times with our kiddo. We talked about it at 4 and they had the same reaction basically. Less crying, more hugging. At 8 now he understands that we aren't guaranteed tomorrow. We also used it as a gateway to why it's important to spend time with the grandparents, even if we would obviously rather be doing our own thing. We typically give him the option to go or not go.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.